Ну, вообще, понял?
Да.
Да? Ну.
Good morning, my name is Ola Atamanova and I want to thank everybody who joins us in Ukraine Media Center Ukrinform. It's been 10 years of the war and today is day 426 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian aggressor, and I traditionally want to thank the representatives of all the mass media who tell the world the truth about a heroic resistance. A brief schedule of events for today is as follows. At 12 o'clock we will be talking about Russian influence and how is it being dealt with in Italy. Joining us in this studio will be the representatives of the Italian party Radicali Italiani, who support Ukraine and who since the beginning of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian aggressor launched a multilingual call Putin in The Hague. At 1300 we will be talking about Wagner rights and what will be the actions of Ukrainian justice. Joining us will be Fedor Venislavsky, People's Deputy and the member of the Parliamentary Committee on the Defense and Security and the representative of the President of Ukraine in the Parliament. And at 2:30 p.m. we will be talking about the-occupied Chernobyl nuclear power plant and temporarily occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. And joining us will be Oleg Korikov, the acting chairman and Chief State Inspector for Nuclear and Radiation Safety of Ukraine. And right now we will be talking about the situation in Zaporizhzhia. Joining us online is Yurii Malashko, the military governor of Zaporizhzhia Regional Administration. Good morning, Mr. Yurii. Good morning, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Mr. Yurii, we know that the occupiers inflicted another strike on Zaporizhzhia region this night. What's the situation in the region? For the time being, the enemy launched 111 projectiles against our region. Just like always, it's Orykhivka and Vasilievka communities and Polohity. The enemy engaged artillery and aviation rockets. One woman born 1957 was injured and hospitalized. Well, talking about the security situation in the region in general, I mean the territory under the control of the Ukrainian government, what can you tell about this situation? Well, the situation in our region is under control, the life goes on, we do everything we can to make sure our citizens, including those internally displaced, feel comfortable in the conditions that we exist in for the time being, and we do everything we can to bring the victory closer. Talking about the settlements closer to the front lines, what is the situation with the critical infrastructure over there? Well, unfortunately, talking about power supply, we have some settlements, specifically those closer to the forward edge of the battle area, which are not reconnected to power supply, but there are invincibility points working in those districts. There are generators working there, There are generators to pump the water. Talking about the gas supply, is about, well, it's exactly 37 settlements where there is no gas supply because they are right there in the forward edge of the battle area. Unfortunately, any emergency works can only be done when we have access to those places. You mentioned Vasilivka. What is the situation there? Is there a possibility for our people to leave the temporarily occupied territories through the checkpost, or is it still blocked? Yes, unfortunately the checkpost is blocked. Our people cannot leave through the Vasilivka checkpost and they are forced to remain there. They're looking for other options to leave through the third countries. Talking about the temporarily occupied territories of Zaporizhzhia region, Berdyansk, we have very little information about what is really going on there. What do you know? Well, you know, all along the front line and in the occupied territories, the situation is the same. The passportization is going on, the forced passportization. The pace of passportization is quite low, and they make up any advantages, so to say, which they, for that, to make sure everybody receives Russian passports. For example, if you need a salary, you can only get it with Russian passport. If you need any medical assistance, you also have to get a Russian passport. If you want to live elsewhere other than your place of residence, you have to acquire Russian number plates and Russian passport too. Well, the situation is complicated. Really, we have questions on the floor. Good morning, Irina Mamchur, Ukrinform. Do you have figures as to the number of children who remain in those settlements which are under constant fire, and how many children were evacuated, for example, in April? Well, we have information about the children, and by the way, that work is going on a daily basis in all the places where the battles are going on. Bilopillo, Malatakmachka, in coordination with the national police, we continue this work. We even show the families where they can be billeted, where they would reside if they evacuated, not only in Zaporizhzhia region, but all across Ukraine. We also cooperate with the international organizations. We are ready to evacuate the families even abroad. Within April, we evacuated 38 children. For example, in Orikhovo, yesterday, there were 2 children remaining, and they had to leave either today or tomorrow. So this process is underway all the time, and we keep working on it. So you don't have the figures how many children are still remaining. Well, I cannot disclose this figure in this broadcast due to humanitarian reasons. Thank you. Then another question is, how many big industrial facilities keep operating in the region? I understand that there is a large part of the territory which is under occupation, so how many facilities keep working and to what extent? Well, the most part of those facilities are in Zaporizhzhia. Those in the region are mostly agrarians. They already launched the second phase of the sowing campaign, and those in Zaporizhzhia, well, talking about their capacities, they work on maybe 1/3 of their capabilities. Thank you. And another question, you've been in the office for more than 2 months now. Have you sorted out the situation in this difficult region? Have you formed your team already? Have you everybody appointed? The administrative apparatus? Yes, the administration is in place. 1 deputy is already appointed. 2 more will be appointed shortly. Talking about the region, yes, the region is complicated. Part of it is temporarily occupied. But I hope that shortly and after the occupation we will have even more work to do and we will bring our region closer to the victory. Mr. Yurii, and the last question is about the resistance forces. We know that the resistance movement is working very actively in Melitopol and as to the rest of the temporarily occupied Zaporizhzhia region. How's the situation with the operation of resistance movement? Yeah, resistance movement is operating all across the Zaporizhzhia region. Ukrainians are very brave and strong people. With this Cossack sentiment, we move forward. We are in constant coordination with all the law enforcement agencies, and my hope is that soon we will eat the black cherry somewhere around Melitopol. Thank you for joining our broadcast. We also hope it will happen. So I'm reminding you, joining us was Yurii Malashko, head of Zaporizhzhia Regional Military Administration. Our next briefing is at 12 o'clock. We will talk about Russian influence and how is it dealt with in Italy. So bear with us, trust in the armed forces, and glory to Ukraine.